Maria Montessori, 1870 to 1952, was an Italian physician, educator, and innovator, best known for her revolutionary educational approach, the Montessori method. She was a pioneering figure in the field of early childhood education, and her ideas have had a profound impact on educational practices worldwide. Central to the Montessori method were the materials and activities designed by Montessori herself. These materials were meticulously crafted to be self-correcting, promoting the development of various skills such as fine motor skills, cognitive abilities, and sensory perception. Examples of Montessori materials include the iconic pink tower, sandpaper letters, and the knobbed cylinders. Here are some of her inspirational quotes. In fact, Helen Keller is a marvelous example of the phenomenon common to all human beings, the possibility of the liberation of the imprisoned spirit of man by the education of the senses. If one only of the senses sufficed to make of Helen Keller a woman of exceptional culture and a writer, who better than she proves the potency of that method of education which builds on the senses? If Helen Keller attained through exquisite natural gifts to an elevated conception of the world, who better than she proves that in the inmost self of man lies the spirit ready to reveal itself? The hen which gathers her chickens together and the cat which licks her kittens and lavishes on them such tender care, differ in no wise from the human mother in services they render. As the child's body must draw nourishment and oxygen from its external environment, in order to accomplish a great physiological work, the work of growth, so also the spirit must take from its environment the nourishment which it needs to develop according to its own laws of growth. What is to be said then of the child? What of this emigrant who comes into a new world, who, weak as he is and before his organism is completely developed, must in a short time adapt himself to a world so complex? Children must grow not only in the body but in the spirit, and the mother longs to follow the mysterious spiritual journey of the beloved one who tomorrow will be the intelligent, divine creation, man. They also show great pleasure in listening to the exact pronunciation of new words and in their repetition. Early childhood is, in fact, the age in which language is formed, and in which the sounds of a foreign language can be perfectly learned. Children are human beings to whom respect is due, superior to us by reason of their innocence and of the greater possibilities of their future. What we desire they desire also. As a rule, however, we do not respect our children. We try to force them to follow us without regard to their special needs. We are overbearing with them, and above all, rude, and then we expect them to be submissive and well-behaved, knowing all the time how strong is their instinct of imitation and how touching their faith in and admiration of us. They will imitate us in any case. Let us treat them, therefore, with all the kindness which we would wish to help to develop in them. Kindness consists in interpreting the wishes of others, in conforming oneself to them, and sacrificing, if need be, one's own desire. This is the kindness which we must show towards children. To find the interpretation of children's desires, we must study them scientifically, for their desires are often unconscious. They are the inner cry of life, which wishes to unfold according to mysterious laws. We know very little of the way in which it unfolds. Certainly the child is growing into a man by force of a divine action similar to that by which from nothing he became a child. Our intervention in this marvelous process is indirect. We are here to offer to this life, which came into the world by itself, the means necessary for its development, and having done that we must await this development with respect. Let us leave the life free to develop within the limits of the good, and let us observe this inner life developing. This is the whole of our mission. Perhaps as we watch we shall be reminded of the words of him who was absolutely good, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." That is to say, do not hinder them from coming, since, if they are left free and unhampered, they will come. One might say, indeed, that to judge by appearances, a well-fed people are better quieter, and commit less crime than a nation that is ill-nourished, but whoever draws from that the conclusion that to make men good it is enough to feed them, will be making an obvious mistake. It cannot be denied, however, that nourishment will be an essential factor in obtaining goodness, in the sense that it will eliminate all the evil acts, and the bitterness caused by lack of bread. Now, in our case, we are dealing with a far deeper need, the nourishment of man's inner life, and of his higher functions. The bread that we are dealing with is the bread of the Spirit, and we are entering into the difficult subject of the satisfaction of man's psychic needs. Freedom without organization of work would be useless. The child left free without means of work would go to waste, just as a newborn baby, if left free without nourishment, would die of starvation. The organization of the work, therefore, is the cornerstone of this new structure of goodness, but even that organization would be in vain without the liberty to make use of it, and without freedom for the expansion of all those energies which spring from the satisfaction of the child's highest activities. Has not a similar phenomenon occurred also in the history of man? The history of civilization is a history of successful attempts to organize work and to obtain liberty. On the whole, man's goodness has also increased, as is shown by his progress from barbarism to civilization, and it may be said that crime, the various forms of wickedness, cruelty and violence have been gradually decreasing during this passage of time. The criminality of our times, as a matter of fact, has been compared to a form of barbarism surviving in the midst of civilized peoples. It is, therefore, through the better organization of work that society will probably attain to a further purification, and in the meanwhile it seems unconsciously to be seeking the overthrow of the last barriers between itself and liberty. If this is what we learn from society, how great should be the results among little children from 3 to 6 years of age that the organization of their work is complete, and their freedom absolute when it is for this reason that to us they seem so good, like heralds of hope and redemption. I would not say that the goodness of our little ones in their freedom will solve the problem of the absolute goodness or wickedness of man. We can only say that we have made a contribution to the cause of goodness by removing obstacles which were the cause of violence and of rebellion.